How ready are you or your family for your departure? Any preparations yet? This is a discussion for today, and of course, we are having amazing guests who will be joining us in the studio to tell us and to deliberate with us, teach us, prepare us how to prepare and how to be ready for our own departure or again for the departure of a loved one. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, as you invite your friends, share the link, and let's share in the discussion. Let's exchange our point of views. And I know many people do not love to talk about death, but you know what? Like someone said, we are born to die. Stay tuned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the conversation. How ready are you or your family for your departure? For a surety, we shall all die one day, whether we like or not. Welcome with me, Pastor Teresa, who says we are born to die. Pastor, you're welcome. Thank you for joining the conversation. Then we have, of course, Daniel Imogore, who says the transformation we need in Africa and the Black community in various countries of the world cannot be accomplished until we change our orientation. Welcome with me also my colleague Mama Njoki De Care, expert by experience, and she says we are not living forever. Hence, nothing is forever. You're all welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this conversation. How prepared are you? Can we prepare for death? I'm going to start with you, Pastor Teresa Stahn, who will give us your own thought about this in a few minutes. Tell us who you are and what you think about life and death. This is your space, ma'am. Pastor Teresa, can you hear me? Now, so since he can hear us, I'm going to talk to Daniel Imogore. Daniel, introduce yourself to us. This is the first time you're joining us. Introduce yourself to us and tell us what you think. Can someone really prepare for their death? Thank you for joining the platform.
Thank you very much. I'm an economist and also an intern with the Alliance. And the issue of death is a very controversial subject. It's a subject that many people don't want to talk about, but it's something that we must talk about. It's something that we must experience at any given point in our life. It's something that will surely happen one day. And the sad thing, or should I call it the unfortunate thing about death, is that sometimes it comes unannounced. Sometimes you get to know, okay, I'm about to die. And what happens after death can actually be a very horrible situation for some people, because after death, a lot of issues keep coming up, financial issues, the burden increases, the financial burden, and a lot of scenarios come up, that can actually affect those you've left behind. So it's very important that we talk about death and we talk about planning for death, so that peradventure death comes unannounced, or it comes when we are expecting. we won't leave a very bad legacy, and we won't leave those we are leaving behind in problems. And that's why this topic is very important. This subject is something we must talk about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And Daniel, you say at times death comes unannounced, unprepared. Nonetheless, it's so important to prepare for death and departure. Thank you for joining us today. Next online is Mommy Njoki De Care. And Mommy Njoki De Care, you say we are not living forever, hence nothing is forever. Tell us who you are and what's your take about getting ready for your departure.
Well, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I am Mary Njoki De Care, and I am a grandmother, a mother, and having passed all these things, I look forward to death like is a party. Because after years of fighting with death, not myself, fighting for others or fighting or seeing my family go or my people go, then I decided that I have to take some care of my death. And this way I engaged in asking, how can I take care of my death when I'm here? And that's how I started through an insurance, and I now pay insurance for my death. No matter how many years it will take, it will be taken care of. But my death will not be a matter of sucking the money from the family. It will be bringing joy to the family, bringing joy so that they can just remember who I was or who I have been. This is it.
Thank you so very much, Mommy De Care. You say, I look forward to death as a party. I engage in asking how to take care of my death, and I pay insurance for my death so that my death should be a joy, a thing of joy to my family. What an amazing way to get ready. Thank you so very much. My next guest in the studio is Pastor Stahn, and she says, we are born to die. Pastor, you're welcome. We can't hear you, ma'am. Maybe you increase your volume. Pastor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vera.
You're welcome, ma'am. Maybe you increase your volume.
The volume. Can you hear me?
Yes. You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Yes, my name's Pastor Teresa Stahn.
Can you hear me? Yes.
And yes, my entry statement is we are born to die. The reason why I said we are born to die is a fact of life. Any human being that comes to life through birth is the beginning of a process. And everything that has a beginning has an end. That's why I've said we are born to die. Many people might be thinking that, wow, that's a harsh statement, but it is a fact of the truth about life. If you are born, then be ready to die. If you rejoice when you're born, then rejoice also when you're departing. So I'm very, very happy and also waiting upon this great discussion about the facts of life, about death. Thank you very much. And how prepared we are to meet the day that we shall sleep, and how we handle it. Thank you. And how prepared we are to meet
Thank you very much, Pastor Teresa. I think you have a microphone or another phone on. I don't know, because there's some echo behind. Thank you, Daniel Imogore. And our other guest is joining us soon. Thank you very much. Now we're getting into the conversation proper. Tell us more, Daniel. How can one prepare for death?
Okay, thank you very much. So, one of the major ways I believe you can prepare for death is to ensure in every way possible that those you're leaving behind don't suffer after you've died. And that's a very, very important point. And one of the ways you can do that is through insurance. Insurance is creating a means, or it's a way of providing enough financial support for those you're leaving behind after you've died, mostly family members, siblings, next of kin. And it's very important because due to certain factors which I'll talk about, cultural factors, maybe personal orientation, the process of burial that happens after death tends to incur a lot of bills, a lot of responsibilities. And these responsibilities over time, as a lot of families tend to get into debts after burying a loved one, and probably those debts were debts they wouldn't have incurred if that loved one was still alive. But when the loved one dies, all of a sudden they start paying debts because they really have to bury the person and all that. Sometimes when the loved one is still alive, they also incur debts, and the family members are saddled with the responsibility of paying for those debts after the loved one has died. So talking about insurance policies, life insurance is one of the ways you can actually prepare for death. And life insurance have two broad categories. We have the term insurance, which you insure your life for a stipulated time. Most times it's from 0 to 30 years. So the insurance works that, okay, if anything happens from 0 to 30 years, I have a beneficiary, someone who the life insurance company, pays this amount of money. Then we have the whole life insurance, which is like a permanent insurance. So as long as you live, even if you live to as long as 100 years, you are paying a premium, and afterwards, when you die, the money is given to your family. The only thing about the permanent or the whole life insurance is that as you age, as you get older, the premium increases. So you tend to pay more as you get older. But it's one of the ways you can actually make sure that your family is secured after you die. A lot of people talk about investing, having business ideas and planning, but we've seen from history that there are people who had very successful businesses, and after they died, their children couldn't manage it, and the businesses just actually go down the drain. And no matter how much you want to train your children into the entrepreneurial line, if you're an entrepreneur, it may not really work that way. So life insurance is one of the ways you can actually secure the future of your loved ones after you've died. It's one of the ways you can actually prepare for death, to actually accommodate the financial burden that your death might incur.
Wow, thank you very much, Daniel. You mentioned some very, very vital points. Insurance policies, the lifelong insurance policy and the short-term insurance policy. This way, we can reduce some of the responsibilities, or again, the debts that most people incur because of the loss of loved ones. And because we want to avoid the pains, especially the economic pains, it is important that we prepare for our own death. Thank you. We're going to come again into details to the question of insurance, life insurance, and so you can give us more information. Mommy Njoki De Care, you're an expert by experience. Tell us, how should one prepare for death? Is it necessary?
Well, this came into my mind when I went through many things in my life, and I've told you that I have seen several ways near death, but I have always survived. Therefore, I have an angel. And when this angel was next to me, and I thought, what about when I die? I intensively occupied myself with death. And that is when I came across an insurance, and I asked for further information, which I was given in English so that I can understand. And because I was old, I had to chip up a bit more money. And from there on, now I am on insurance for at least 5 years. And every time I think about death, I think what a beautiful thing I had done. Because no matter what, I will not escape it. No matter what, I will never escape it.
No matter what, you and me and us cannot escape death, because just like Pastor Stahn said, we are born to die. And you talked about your own insurance. Let me dip a little deeper. Is that also the life insurance that Daniel Imogore is talking about?
No, it's not a life insurance, because I did not have a life insurance. I went for death insurance. That is a different case. Death insurance.
So we have death insurance and there is life insurance. These are amazing information. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. These informations are free for you. Make sure you connect with somebody, invite someone, tag someone to get this information, because we are not used to having such information. Mommy De Care, tell me more about death insurance. Are there companies for this? How did you come about death insurance, and why the death insurance?
Well, I was talking to a group of people in Cologne as we sat down as a community, and we invited somebody from the insurance,
just like Daniel,
to us, just like him, but this time another one. And we talked initially for death insurance. And in that group of people, I think 2 or 3 or 4 ministers are the only ones who took death insurance. The rest said, hey, we can't talk about death. So it was 3 days of seminar, but 3 days, well, it was good, because we had, I was the first one to say yes. And I had 2 or 3 people saying also yes. And I think from now on, I've been asked by other women if they could join. And I give them the address and I tell them, you can talk to this person. He speaks English, and you will be explained how you are going to pay according to your age.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I hope that you're going to give us also the address by the end of this program, so that those who are interested, we are not doing any publicity. We are not paid for any publicity. I wish we would have been able to get some money to do this publicity. But I think that because of the nature of the conversation, it's so important that people get the information, people know who to address, people know where to go when they really want these things. Mommy Njoki, thank you, Njoki De Care, thank you very much for this information. We're going to come back again into the details, whereby you can also give us the contact if you will permit. Pastor Teresa, let's come now to the spiritual part of it. Now we have spoken about the experiences part of it, the economical aspect of why it is so important to prepare for your death. Mom, tell us more about the necessity to prepare because of the spiritual aspect of it. You have to unmute your mic, please.
Thank you very much. The aspect of preparation and what our experts here are talking about, Brother Daniel and Mama De Care, is actually nothing new under the sun, because even in the times of our ancestors and in the biblical times, in the eras of King David, the eras of Moses and Abraham, you'll see that in the Old Testament there was preparation. People used to buy or to make tombs or even buy tombs. Those days they would bury people in tombs, but nowadays we are burying in graves. In Africa, we have our own farms where we bury our own there, But in towns in Africa, as civilization grew, the fact of having graveyards or common graveyards, like where I come from in Nairobi, it was or it is a taboo still for other people to bury somebody away from home, because it is tradition and culture. So preparation, what insurance is doing right now, is actually what our forefathers did, but they didn't call it insurance. What our forefathers in the Bible, Moses, Daniel, Abraham, the king, if you look at the story in the book of 1 Kings, 2 Kings, you would see that every king that ruled and they ruled, when they died, they were buried at a specific place that was prepared before. So I do not understand at this particular juncture where the thought came from especially people, Africans living in the diaspora, that people have to be afraid of death, because it is a fact. When the moment I am born, it is evident in the Bible, in Ecclesiastes. In Ecclesiastes, he says, there is time for everything. Yeah, he says, in the book of Ecclesiastes, he says, for you, just a moment. He said there is a time for everything, a time and a season, a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. So if there is a time that somebody comes into this world, we rejoice, when we receive newborn babies. We prepare when a woman gets pregnant. We rejoice. But even at the act of giving birth, we do not see the danger that the mother could die or the baby. But we only see the good thing and of the joy of that, baby coming into the world, and the danger of that woman dying in the process of giving birth, or even that child passing on in the process that the mother is giving birth. We don't see it. So from the beginning, when there is sexual intercourse between a man and a wife, we know life is given out. Millions of lives. But only one, there is struggle that begins at that particular time in conception. And this struggle is the beginning of life. It is a fact that cannot be seen by eyes, but scientifically or biologically it is seen. So when the child comes into the world and begins to live, why don't we as human beings, or the Africans especially living in diaspora, why are we not prepared to accept the fact that we are living, we came to better our lives here, and so that we can better our lives also back at home. And that also there is a time that anything could happen. One of us could depart. So why are we not prepared?
Yeah, but we are not prepared, like somebody said. By the way, let the dead bury the dead. When someone dies, he or she is dead.
The dead cannot bury the dead. The only dead that can bury the dead is the people that are dead spiritually. What Jesus meant by this statement, he said, let those that have not seen the light, let those that have not realized that life and light has come into this world, let them go and bury those that are dead and they don't know their destiny. But if you know your destiny, if you know that you have light in you, you know that the day you came into this world, it is only but a journey to somewhere else. And that when you come to that end, you are not dead, because it is only the mortal being that is gone. And when the mortal being is gone, please let the spiritual you. Remember one time in a discussion, I talked about 3 beings in one person. The you and you and you. So when the physical you goes, there is the spiritual part of you, the soul that remains alive. Where does it go to?
Where does it go to?
That's when we need to prepare. When the physical part, the mortal part departs, prepare for the second you to go somewhere and give yourself a decent send-off and spare your children and your relatives and your friends the agony of mourning you, wasting their tears, crying and everything. Some of them will not be crying because they lost you. They'll be crying because of the bills you left behind. They'll be crying because of the kind of lifestyle and the type of legacy you left behind. So make yourself a favor and prepare.
Thank you so very much, Pastor Stahn. I knew the conversation would be hot. But Daniel, Imogore, when we were talking, you spoke about faithism. That faithism is the reason why people do not prepare for their death. What is that faithism?
Okay, so it's the principle of fatalism, and the principle of fatalism is that it's a belief that what's meant to be will always be, and you can't change it. And many people actually hold on to this belief, and this belief has actually prevented them from making preparations for death, not just death, making general preparations for the future. Unfortunately, the 2 major religions of the world, Christianity and Islam, actually somehow hold on to this belief. So if you are talking to a typical Muslim, a quintessential Muslim, who tell you, Inshallah, it's God that determines what happens in the future. So they feel they have very little role to play, And that has also affected Christians. When you try to tell Christians about planning for the future, making investment for the future, they will tell you, my future is in God's hands. And God is the one that feeds the birds, feeds the sparrows. Man proposes, God disposes. So I will surrender my life into God's hand. And I've asked a lot of people, what's your plan? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What's your plan for the next 10 years? They're like, I don't just plan. God is the one in charge of my life. And a lot of Christians say this. And that has actually prevented them from planning for the future. They believe what to be is going to be. And that's
excuse me, sir. Excuse me. I find it very contradictory, because when they say what will be, it is good. But that same faith or religion, Bible, whatever they read, tells them, seest thou a man who do not plan, he planned to fail. How do we bring this together now?
That's the problem. They actually hold on to a particular verse. They have a wrong perception of scriptures. Now, I also want to state that, okay, people from diverse religions, diverse backgrounds will be watching this show. When you talk about life insurance policies and death insurance policies, I want to state something. There are some religions that kick against interest rate. Interest rate is against their religious belief. And one thing you have to know is that in these life insurance policies, in these death insurance policies, interest rates, you must incur interest rates. So if at the end of the year, there's a particular interest that is added to whatever amount of money returns you'll get. And if you belong to a religious belief that's against interest rates, how do you participate in things like this? Yeah. So I don't want to be specific with religions, but there are some religions that kick against interest rates, and that makes it very controversial. So when you're talking to somebody who holds that religious belief and you're telling him, I really want you to plan for your debt, this is an insurance policy, and the insurance policy is telling you at the end of the year, I add 6% interest rates, that's a turn-off because it's against this religious ideology. And
wow, I'm going to hear everything here. Daniel, we are going to come to that, because people are really wanting to know if the insurance, the life insurance you're talking about, also provide the death insurance. But we get to that. Before we get to that, I want Mama Njoki De Care to answer the question of Ruth Val. Ruth Val says, how can we start talking about our departure freely without no fear? Because in our communities, it is like a taboo topic. The question to you, Mami Njoki, because you are an expert by experience.
By experience. Okay. There is no question about it. When we have to break this bondness of the communities, the taboo topics have to be spoken now. And they are not taboo topics. If Teresa had said, the people before us, the kings and kings, they waited for death. They knew what to do. Everybody knew where to be buried. Why is it now becoming a taboo? It started becoming a taboo when the religion came and the people did not understand the religion, so they are mixing up things and they are talking something that is purely not right. The taboo is what now they are not talking is a taboo. What they are not talking is a taboo. But talking about death is nothing. It is a topic like any other, like I would talk. And I freely love talking about death. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Daniel, do you want to add something to this, to the question?
Yes, actually, the major reason why many people don't want to talk about death is because naturally people are scared of uncertainty. It's just a natural human nature. People are scared of what they don't know. Also, because of the uncertainty that faces death, and also our various religious belief on what waits on the other side, you know, it's also another reason why people just feel it's a no-go area. So even in normal conversations, when you try to raise the subject of death, like for instance, you're chatting with someone, you say, okay, like for instance, what if you die? They say, no, I won't die, God forbid. You know, they just say, no, I cannot die. You know, and they try to dismiss that conversation because of fear of uncertainty. But one thing is that whether you are scared of it or not, it must come. Unfortunately, it comes when you least expect for some people. I've had friends who died in their sleep. I had a friend who I saw today, and the next day I heard she's dead. Like, so it can come anytime. So whether you're scared of it or not, it's an appointment all of us must face at a given point in time.
Whether you're afraid of it, it's an appointment. I consider it the rapture at times. Pastor Teresa, answer me the question, or again, talk to Ruth, Eli Baby, who says, we believers don't think about the future because our future is in the hands of the Lord. So future is out of question. Thank you, Ruth, for joining the conversation. Pastor Teresa, please, what do you think? Your mic, we're not hearing you.
Sorry. I wanted to add something first on the first question before I go to Ruth. You know, the reason why people don't want to talk freely, because it is not because it's a taboo, because it's fear. So it is like Daniel said, you know, death is it's a natural fear that is instigated in people. And it is something that is, you know, people are programmed to fear naturally. Yeah. The reason why they are programmed to fear, because in this world we are surviving for the best, especially this civilized world, you know, it is survival for the fittest. So if you are not fit, then, you know, you're deemed to die. And you find that something like fear is actually that triggers death even more than viruses and bacteria. Yeah. Somebody can suffer from cancer without knowing. You have a lump somewhere, it does not disturb you. But the moment you go for checkup, thorough checkup from head to toe, then they find that within 1 year, that person is dead. Not because, but they've been living with that thing for so long. So fear is a deadly disease. Now, I'll go to Ruth. We believers don't think about the future because our future is in the hand of God. The future, you know, the reason why God brought us here, the reason why you are alive, you and me, is because we have a destiny to fulfill and to go to. Now, When you are born and living, then you should live your life at its best. You are not born for yourself, and you're not dying for yourself. You are born for a reason, and you should accomplish that reason. But that reason does not mean living foolishly and selfishly for yourself. And the moment when I say foolishly, is not about taking the risk and preparation. For example, that the insurance company, yes, we know there are so many insurance companies, those are, and marketers, sales and marketing and advertisers. We know those are licensed people that, are systematically licensed to lie somehow, And we know, like in Africa, for example, it is black and white. You pay so much money in the hope that you will be insured, but when you're faced with a disaster, then the reality. And I believe most Africans in the diaspora also, because of that experience, they have that fear to talk or even to plan for the future. Our lives are our future is in the hand of God, but it does not involve foolishness of not planning. So we should plan.
Wait a minute, Pastor. We should plan, but how do we plan when we don't even have what to eat? That's what Ruth is adding to it. If I don't have food to feed my family, how can I plan for the future? I mean, we are asking these people lots of things. They should be planning for future. Planning for what future when they do not even have food to eat? Is that not asking too much?
Is not asking too much, because essentially what we are saying, you should just have, where everybody is planning to buy a plot, or to buy a farm somewhere where you'll put up a house or where. But have you thought, for example, here in the diaspora, have you thought about buying a just small 6x6 or 3x6, a place where you will be laid to rest? It's not so much. Then Daniel can tell us whether it is involved in the insurance, if somebody is possible for you just to buy a place and this is my family place where we will be. You buy it once and it does not matter where you will die, because we don't know where it will find you. But at least you have a place that is safe for you and your family. That's all we are saying. Now, as somebody wrote, maybe Ruth or somebody else would be saying, now when I know I've saved this place and I don't have food to eat, then I can go and sell it. Yes, at the moment you can lease it to somebody else, and then when the time comes, you can still use it, because that's what essentially people of the old did. We can see that Jesus Christ did not even have a grave of his own, but Joseph of Arimathea, he gave him the grave. When he died, he was buried there. But that was his family grave. So it did not cease to be his grave because he was buried there. Jesus resurrected, and the grave remained for the rest of the people that would die after him. So it is essentially as simple as that.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And Jerry Kramer, thank you, Dr. Jerry, for joining the conversation. And she says, I'm reading it from here because it's a little long. Death is not viewed as a tragedy, even when it occurs early in life or through unfortunate circumstances. Death is seen as a natural process. Death, like life, has meaning and is part of a divine plan. In addition, Jews have a firm belief in an afterlife where those who have lived a worthy life will be rewarded. And that reminds me of another great man, Dr. Miles Monroe, who said in one of his conversations, it's so unfortunate, but the richest place here on earth is the grave, because many people do not live to their fullest, and many people do not plan for their transition. Because if we understand that life is a passage, then we will be able to prepare for transition. We will be able to get into that grave so empty that the grave have nothing to rejoice about us. Back to the conversation of insurance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the conversation. And we have two questions on insurance. Eno Roy is asking the question. I also need to know if the company that provides life insurance also provides death insurance. Tell us more about insurance, life insurance, and death insurance.
Okay, that's my question, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Daniel.
so basically we have the death insurance, like Mommy Njoki talked about. And to the best of my understanding, it's also known as the annuity insurance, where a certain amount of money is paid more like it's more like a pension benefit till when you die. Then we talk about the health, the life insurance. The life insurance is that you pay a certain amount of money, which most likely increases with your age based on the premium amounts you have actually arranged with the insurance company based on the agreement. And when you die, your children, your next of kin, based on the contract you've signed, are entitled to that benefit, are entitled to that money. So life insurance more benefits your children and your next of kin more. It's more beneficial to your children and your next of kin for the life insurance policy.
Okay, thank you very much. Mommy De Care, tell us more about the death insurance you signed and how we can get in touch.
Well, I don't know whether it is advertising I will do for the company. At the moment, I would not mention it.
That's good. Don't
But
mention the name. Just tell us how
but
it goes.
but it goes like this. You only have to talk about death insurance. We didn't talk about life insurance, and I don't see why it is a big issue when it comes to dying, because when we think about our lives, then like now, like me, if I am able to buy a land and build a house that I don't live the whole year, the 2 years now, I have never lived there even one day. So that is money put aside for nothing. But that was intentionally for me, because I did not have that time to think. That time I was thinking the way they are thinking. I was thinking, first I have to build, I have to do this, I have to buy land, I have to do this, I have to do this. But eventually, even with the COVID, it is telling us now is not the time to think of other tomorrows. Life can be switched away from you in a second, or anybody. And we should always see it like that. Life is not ours. We can go anytime soon. So I think it is better when somebody knows that, okay, when I die, my children will not have to go through all these burdens. And the people of my country, let's say like now, we always do it in Facebook and WhatsApp, we are collecting money, 20 euro, 30 euro, whatever. We are going to send somebody home, and sending somebody home is damn expensive. Why not, if you have lived 20 years in Germany, why not get buried here?
Amazing conversation. I remember I told my husband some few years ago that I want to bury my father and my ancestors with my ancestors in my husband's village, because I am married to him and I want to establish them. And I said, because I have that intention, then I want to start investing in that village, get used to that village, spend time in that village. And then and then I told him, so you two, you have to be preparing to invest, we have to work there. And he said, oh, he doesn't want to really stay there in that village. Then I told him, if you are not ready to stay there, your body should not be ready to be buried there. So your body should be buried where you have invested. See, if you will choose to invest in Germany, all your life in Germany and all everything, then be sure that I'm going to put you here. But if you intend and you know that you want to go back, because I know from the tribe where you are come from, people want to go back, then you must invest there so that it's not only your body that comes back home. Thank you, Mommy Jokeri, for again expanding this conversation. We have a question from Ruth. There is an echo behind, I don't know where. But we have a question from Ruth, and Ruth is asking the question, how do we approach our elderly with this question? Because once you ask them about this, some respond saying you are already planning his or her death or want to inherit their property. How do we approach the elderly? Mommy Jokaro, how do we approach elderly people who are not yet ready? And what should they do?
Unfortunately, my elders are not there, but I had a father who had already known that he will one day die, and he did. So he didn't write. That was the biggest problem. But he called a pastor or a father and told him what he wants. But he didn't want to go to hospital because he didn't want to incur the hospital bills. So he saved us from the hospital bills. But because we are in Africa, we have to look extravagant, a big ceremony, a uniform, I don't know what. And all these things, when I think them about today, I should engage everybody. Of course, in Africa, it will take time, but who we are here now, we should get engaged. We are getting not younger, we are getting older. So the moment we are getting older, can we look, where do I go to stay if now, for example, my children are all big, they are gone, and I'm now staying alone. What about if I cannot stay alone? Will I be taken to Africa to go and be taken out in the sunshine and inside when it starts raining? No. Where I will be is where my home is. And this is where we should also plan in our territory to have a home for our elderly. Because we are old, we are many. I am seeing that we are many. And the moment they start seeing this, then the easy work is coming. It will not longer be a problem. It will be just an easy work.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Pastor Teresa, you want to add something to that? How do we approach our elderly, especially when they have stuffs, so they may think that you just want to inherit their properties?
You know, I would refer to the book of the wise, the book of Ecclesiastic, you know, where King Solomon, the richest man in the world in every sphere of life, and the word of God says that there has never been any splendor like Solomon's until today. Even the richest of today, they have not seen that splendor in the terms of wives, in terms of wealth, in terms of kingdoms, in terms of children, in terms of everything. So he was given that wisdom and that chance so that we may be educated and on facts or matters of life. And he wrote about the vanity of life. And you know, he said there is a time for everything, as I said in Ecclesiastic chapter 3. And in Ecclesiastic chapter 4, he talks about riches being meaningless. Yeah. So these, our elderly people, whether we like it or not, it is a fact. You came into this world. If you are a parent and you have children, then you definitely know that it's going to be passed on. Now, the fact that your child approaches you and speaks to you about preparation, or that you want, or you speak about death, it does not mean anything that, you know, they want to kill you or they want inheritance. Of course, that is the voice of evil that one chooses to hear. But there is the other truth about it, that this parent will not accept, or these children. Yes, we have children that are evil, that would even kill their parents so that they inherit. But on the normal part of it, that is just quite a small number. You know, the wise man says, you know, King Solomon, naked a man came from his mother's womb, and as he comes, so he departs. He takes nothing from his labor that he can carry in his hand. You know, you have to live it. So you are toiling in this transition, as our Dr. Grema said, you know, it's a transition that we need to accept.
It's a transition that we need to accept. Daniel Imogore, how do we now prepare? What are the things that we should do to make it better? Step by step.
So first of all, I believe that the most important issue is orientation, like what we are doing now. Orientation, having the requisite knowledge that our time is limited and how to plan regarding it. Secondly, I want to talk about the cultural factor. Now, in as much as you want to plan your life, when you die, you are not the one who takes the decision. There are people who decide, okay, this is how I want my burial to be. And when they die, their children come and change everything, you know. And you can't wake up from the grave and say, no, this is not where I wanted to be buried. So the cultural factor plays a role. But I think that when you give your children orientation, give them detailed orientation, if they respect you and love you as your last wish, they want to honor everything that you've said. If you tell them, I don't want to be taken to Africa, I think the cost will be too much, bury me here, I'm very sure that as a last wish, they're going to really respect you. Thirdly, one major problem that families face, and it's also as a result of cultural orientation, mostly in Africa, is the issue of relatives. We've had stories of people who made adequate investments for their family, and the man dies, and suddenly, because he doesn't have a male child, the relatives come and they want to pick all the property. It has always been, in some parts of Africa, it's actually a problem. So first of all, if you are getting married, make it legal. When you are legally married to your wife, the legal aspect, it makes it very difficult for those kind of things to occur. Secondly, it's also good you have a will. Your will should be written clearly in the presence of a lawyer, stamped, so that in case things want to go haywire after you're dead, when the legal aspect comes in or a lawyer comes in, everything can be resolved. 3, make sure that you plan. No matter how much we try to emphasize it, we cannot overemphasize it. Planning is very important. Somebody asked the question, what if I don't have so much money? It's amazing how much 25 euros a month can turn into for 35 years. Just start saving 25 euros every month and check out how much 25 euros will be in 35 years. Considering the fact that there is inflation will occur, but 25 euros every month can be so much money. So, and Germany is more like a place where we have, no matter how bad it gets, I believe that 25 euros shouldn't be so much money for someone to save. So even if you feel I don't have money, I can't eat, but even if it's 20 euros per month, you can try it and see how much it's going to be for 30 years, 35 years. So I believe these are some of the basic ways you can actually prepare for the future, apart from the insurance policies we talk about.
Thank you very much, Daniel Imogore. Imogore, you say that it's important, orientation, that's what we are doing today, having awareness, creating awareness about the fact that we will die. And it's no longer a thing to think about. And Pastor Stahn says, as we are born to die, and life is not forever. So it is a fact that we will die. And because that's a fact, we need to create more awareness. We need to write our wills for those who are living. Write your will, get legally married, write your will, and of course, plan. And I have a testimony of an acquaintance who told me a marvelous story, 2 of them that marveled me. One, my uncle-in-law himself, he was such an influential person, and he was a political person too, and he is the one who taught almost all the journalists in Cameroon journalism and communication. And of course, you can imagine if this kind of a person dies, it means that the whole journalism sector, media will cover that up. And of course, one can politicalize his death. And I was so glad the way he met his death, so simple. He wrote in his will, when I die, the very day I stop breathing, you don't need to take me to the doctor. You don't need to take me to to where they put the dead people, to the I forgot the name.
To the morgue.
Yes, you don't need to put me there. The same day, take me to the village, wrap me in a cloth, not in a coffin, in a cloth, put me in the grave, cover it, and I'm finished and I'm gone. You know what? I think people became even traumatized because they only realized his death when they told them his death. So his body could not be politicalized. One could not do any merchandise with that. And of course, all the publicity and the taunts and the dancing and all that was not made. And I see him like a hero because he actually stopped any kind of merchandise that would have taken place behind him before his death. I mean, his children are all over the world. I just imagine they would have said, keep the cups for as long as we can make it. And it would have consumed a lot of money and it would go all around. And he stopped that so that people could not do anything but to say he was a great person. And for me, this was the moment I thought, wow, this man understood what life was all about. He understood life. And so you are saying that plan. And me too. And another story of a man who had also prepared, he built his house and he built his family grave. Like the people of old, they had their space that was for the family graves or the tombs, whatever, that they knew if my son dies this year, Abraham bought a grave, for his family. And so for me, it was also fascinated to hear about this man who bought his grave or to build the graves, like how Italians do, build everything so that if anyone dies, as they put you in the coffin, they just put you inside, close the door, write your name there, and it's over. I mean, what an amazing way to prepare. And it reduces so much stress, the emotional stress that people will be facing behind, or again, the financial stress. So for me, it's so important that we prepare ahead of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are here, please be sure, be very conscious of the fact that you will die. And if you die, what happens next? You do not want to put the people into so much burden emotionally, financially. Again, so you want to help. And like Daniel said, with 25 euros, it will avoid that people put your pictures all over the social media. We need some donations for this person who is passed. Thank you so much to you all my guests. Our time is almost fast spent. We have just 2 minutes. I'm giving you each 1 minute to round up and tell us your statement. But before that, there is a question. Mommy De Care, I would like you to answer this question. Please, I need to know why people are burned to ashes when they die in Germany.
Yes, Maggie, I will be burnt because dust to dust and the earth to earth. It is no different. No matter how you go, you are going to go. And when you are put into a grave or not, you are dust. You are dust. That is the simple way of going to the dust. So forth. Like now they are burning people in India, but they have a problem because now they are using all the firewood. What will they use next? Because there will be no trees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mommy Njoki De Care. From dust you came, and unto dust you shall return. Thank you very much. And Wambi Wetu says, wow, raw conversation. Thank you all so much. Yes, we know the conversation is extremely raw, but I think that it's so worth it to have this conversation. We have also Francois Chukwu Emeka. Thank you for remembering us that we have to write our will. Thank you so much. That is such an important aspect of it, that not only your will are you writing, but also prepare for your death. You can just get registered a life insurance or a death insurance for 25 euros. In 35 years, it will be about 870 something thousand. I don't know if I calculated very well. And you can be able to at least avoid the fact that your body, your picture, I just hate that fact that pictures circulate the media when someone dies. Ladies and gentlemen, you have each of you a minute to say your last words or to encourage us on the conversation. Are you ready for death, or how prepared are you? I start with you, Teresa Stahn.
Yeah, what I would like to say, thank you for the conversation, wonderful conversation, on the spiritual aspect of it, the preparation, we may talk about insurance and talk about, these facts, but it's scary. But what we need spiritual guidance and counseling for our African fellas, really. And you can give out my number, whoever needs, counseling, because it is something. I have faced death several times. I have lost a child, and it was something that was not expected, and these are facts. So we are talking from facts, things that we have faced, yeah. And there is this thing that actually brings people down is fear. So we need to empower our fellow people concerning fear. We need to empower them. You've seen, as our sister Ruth talks about food. We think about the stomach, but food and the stomach for the food, it shall all be destroyed. The food plus your stomach shall all be destroyed. So these are facts that we need to think about and need encourage and empower people concerning, fear, how to overcome fear that brings anxiety. Actually, most people don't die because of the disease, it's because of fear and the worry that brings anxiety, which brings old age and speeds up, your death, shortens your life, and puts your immune system down. So these are the things that we need to face. It is a transition from life to death, and we need to prepare people. That is a fact. So it is not a topic that should just end here, because I see it is a topic that can bring back, we need experts for insurance, experts to come and talk explicitly on insurance and the importance of this insurance. And this insurance should be for our graveyards or for our transportation, for those who still believe they should be buried, away from the foreign land, which is okay anyway, because even the Israelites were never buried in foreign lands. Their bones were carried to their mother's land. So it is okay, my fellow African brothers and sisters, to be carried there. But how prepared are you to be carried there? The last fact I wanted to talk about, that we are born to die, is a fact, whether we like it or not. We are born towards death, and we are given to death every day. You should be asking yourself, it's not that person that is sick that is going to die. It's not just that person that is driving a car, or I don't know, in a war-torn zone areas, that is going to die. Everybody, each one of us, if you are born, there is a time that comes in the evening that your whole organs have to switch off and you go to sleep. Who gives you a guarantee that you will wake up the next morning? For you to wake up, Paul says we are given to death every day. And it is true, every day. In the next 1 hour, you will be going to sleep, you and I. It is not a guarantee that we will wake up tomorrow morning. So how prepared are you? These are the facts that we need to deeply think and reflect. That when we wake up, is a miracle, and we should be thankful, because many have slept healthy and have not woken up, and it has left a disaster and confusion in the families. So it is good to be prepared, because there is a journey that we need to complete after the mortal body goes to rest. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Last word, Mommy Njoki De Care, please.
As I said, dust to dust, and I don't have something else to say that I am sure that I am sleeping on death every day, like Teresa is talking. I know when I wake up, I say, thank you, God, because I have seen today. But when I go to bed, I don't know what is coming up. I never know. You have switched off. So it is a matter of death to come. And let us get more informed. We have an insurance man who can always advise us, or any other insurances which will advise us. Why not take the chance? We cannot talk about food on the table. We are in Europe where everybody can eat. No matter you have no job, you can still eat. So I don't see any other cause of not preparing. So get yourself ready, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you this evening. Get ready. It is here. And tomorrow it might not be your day.
Thank you very much, Njoki De Care, expert by experience. Get ready because tomorrow may not just be yours. Daniel Imogore, your last words, please.
So briefly, I want to state that many a times when they put up the picture of someone who has died and ask people to contribute money, it may not be because the person doesn't have money. It's just that we Africans have a collectivist culture. We just feel anything anybody's doing, we should just contribute a little. That's been said. I believe that we have a role to play in determining what happens after our deaths. And how we can do that is we have to state explicitly to our loved ones what we want. It will save them money, it will save them costs. If your children or your brothers or your sisters respect you a lot and tell them, this is what I want to be buried here, I don't want to be buried here, I think as your dying wish, they are going to respect you. Also, I want to also emphasize that 25 euros a month can go a long way in saving you a lot of embarrassment when it's time for you to go. So if you've not started saving, you can start saving from this month. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This was a fabulous and informative evening, a holistic approach. We had three people from different perspectives and different lifestyle and different professions, so that they could express themselves and teach us more on how to prepare. If you've not gotten anything, make sure you remember that 25 euros is not much for you to start saving now and waiting for the next 35 years. And then you're going to get something. Another thing you should not forget, please write your will. Write your will. Let it be clear what you want, how you want it to be. And then, of course, if you want to have some fine things around like the African people want to do it, then save that money so that you can write it very well and say there is a 10,000 euros kept here for these beautiful things and that you want to have around. So do not put people into bondage when you are passing. Let people be free because we are born free. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to meet again on Thursday for another conversation, a political talk with Eli Abeke. Sure, hoping to meet you there. Till then, take good care of yourself and bye-bye for now. God bless you. I appreciate you all.